This story starts with the phrase, live for your house. That's what the father always told our protagonist. The meaning behind it was that he should never desire anything for himself, and should always live in the shadow of his older brother. Our hero falls to the ground, and the soldiers around him say they never imagined one person could stand against so many knights. A man with long hair says it's expected from the brother of that person. The man standing in front of him is Boris, who gives a twisted smile as Sean asks, who sent him? With daggers in hand, he wants to know if it was the Emperor. As Xian activates his power, Boris mocks the disgusting Mist and says that Xian is an assassin from the Mist group. Because of that, he must be eliminated for affiliating with heretics. Owen wishes him luck in trying to get out alive, but Boris tells him that he's already placed a 9-star barrier around the area. Owen realizes he must get out quickly and find out who caused the incident involving his brother. He tells Boris that he will break through any barrier he put up. Suddenly, someone says, "Stop, Xian." Xian is startled and speechless, remembering his father's words, "Live for your house," and how his brother, Ekal, is the house itself. The success of the house depends on Ekal's success. Xian can't believe it. The one behind it all, in the end, was his own brother. He falls to his knees while Ekal asks why he's there. As his brother approaches, Xian asks what all this means. Eshel says that Shinin has done his job very well so far, but for the sake of the house, and of Shinin himself, he will now free him from his sins. Shinin doesn't understand what he did wrong. Looking at his mist, Eshel says it's disgusting, and that Shinin hasn't been human for a long time. He shouts that Shinin has been deceiving everyone. Shinin thinks about those words and loses his mind. It doesn't make sense. The troubles with the imperial throne, the subjugation of the Demon King's army, the war to unify the continent, he helped his brother win all of that and achieve everything he has. He punches the ground, saying that the life he was given, he dedicated to that person, and now he wants to throw him away, after going so far. After working like a dog for 20 years. Xuan says that even if his body breaks, he'll give everything he has in this moment, as long as he can kill him. The soldiers are shocked by the mana he still has. Transformed, Xuan says his brother is shameful, the only so-called hero, trying to kill a member of his own family. Echel looks with contempt, and Xian charges. He's managing to hold his own, saying he only needs one strike. He sees an opening and goes for the attack, but hits a barrier. The fight isn't one-on-one. Boris is protecting Echel, who takes advantage of it, and lands a blow to Xian's stomach. With his sword lodged in Xian, Echel says he considered letting him go easily, but now Xian has shown his dark side. Echel says he's relieved he never trusted Xian, not even for a second. He pulls out the sword, kicks San and leaves with his group. Lying on the ground, San thinks what a ridiculous end this is. It makes no sense to die like this. But suddenly, he attacks again, saying, "Die," as he presses a dagger to Echel's neck. However, a burst of light sweeps through his body. A voice calls him young master, and a boy wakes up, sweating in bed. The maid asks how long he plans to sleep. Sensei asks if it's Emily. Looking at her, he says it's been 20 years since they met. But she looks just like the day he first saw her. He recognizes the room. It's the one he lived in when he was younger. It hits him. He's returned to the past. Emily tells him to stop stalling in bed and go train. He wonders what training she's talking about. Realizing he's back in the Duchy of House Vert, he's certain this is the past. Maybe they're just memories, but he remembers everything perfectly. It's the 1st of March 27 years ago, 1 year before he entered the academy. At the beginning of each month, there was a public sparring event, an important occasion even for his father. His opponent was a boy named Krant, a brother born from another mother but the same age as him. His own mother, Marguerite, was the Duke's official wife. Because of that, her son received much more attention. Lucien, being the son of a concubine, was humiliated that day. It was then that his father told him to do nothing and give up. Emily asks him why he won't give up now. Now, he says he'll win quickly. However, he hesitates when he realizes that even a simple thin sword feels extremely heavy in this body. Now, he's sure this isn't a dream, or just a memory. Still, he's never heard of magic like this, and starts to wonder if he really did go back to the past. Krante says it's impressive that he didn't run away. When Sean looks at his father, the man simply says to begin. His brother charges at him, asking where he's looking, clearly confident that this will be easy. But Sean wonders why he's moving so slowly. One step to the side and his brother swings at the air. Krantez calls him a coward, and moves in for another strike. But Sean lands a hit that makes him drop his sword. Then, a kick to the shin leaves Krantez in agony, and he falls to the ground crying. His mother calls out for him while their father seems intrigued. Looking at him on the floor, Cyan knows that if he puts the blade to Krante's neck, it'll be over. But he remembers how, in the past, this guy used to torment him. The bullying continued even at the academy. So now, he has to end this, to make sure Krantes never dares do anything like that again. In this second life he's been given, he's going to live for himself. The fight ends with Krantes completely defeated. The Duke delays some of his plans because he wants to speak with Xian and even assigns one of his knights to keep an eye on him. In the hallway, Xian sees Krante's mother and is sure she just returned from the infirmary. With a mischievous smile, Xian asks, "Is your son doing well, Duchess?" She snaps back, calling him shameless for saying that after doing such a thing to his brother. Ken, Xian ignores her, saying things like that are normal during training. The Duchess says that's exactly why illegitimate children shouldn't be spoken to. Filthy mothers, filthy sons, she says, adding that he should have been picking garbage off the streets. Xian looks back, thinking she crossed the line, and wonders if he should kill her. But instead, he smiles, remembering he knows how to make her suffer slowly. He tells her that he'll be joining the same academy as Krantes. She asks what he means by that. He wonders aloud if she isn't worried about her son's graduation. She scowls and moves to slap him, asking how he dares say such things. But the guard steps in and protects Xian, apologizing to her. Still, the Duke is calling for the boy, so they can't waste time there. Xian stares at the Duchess and says they're leaving. She remains angry, but there's nothing she can do. Xian did that because he knows that the Duke's order is absolute, and the knight was ordered to protect him. In the office, his father tells him to come in. Xian enters and introduces himself, thinking that the last time he saw this man like this was 15 years ago. Duke Vert, people call him the protector of the continent. With his magical power and military strategies, he stopped the demon army's invasion. Even if the entire Demon King's army wanted him dead, all he ever wanted was peace for the continent. But that was only how he was in Xian's memories, someone who dedicated his whole life to serving the people and being an admirable man. The first thing the Duke says is that he noticed Xian saw the sword coming and dodged it. Xian is confused, but the Duke explains that when Krantes ran in, Xian easily saw the sword's trajectory and turned to avoid it. He asks when Xian learned that kind of swordsmanship. Xian is impressed by how observant his father is and says he taught himself. Wallace says that, as far as he knew, Xian had no interest in swordsmanship, or was he hiding his skills all along? Xian says he didn't want to stand out too much. Wallace replies that it's impressive that he beat Krantes even while holding back, but then he hesitates and asks why Xian struck his brother like that at the end. Xian wonders, is he recognizing me as someone strong? Then he says he wanted to prove something. Wallace asks, what did you want to prove? Xian says, even though we're brothers, I wanted to prove that I'm better than Krante. His father bursts into laughter, then says it's incredible to hear such a direct and honest answer. He hopes that one day, Suan will become a strong ally of Ekrel. The name Ekrel shocks Suan and he wonders why he would ever want to ally with that guy. In the end, his father's obsession with Ekrel hasn't changed at all. He clenches his fists but says nothing. Wallace says there won't be any reward ceremony, but he can ask for something. Shen's plan is obvious. He wants to destroy everything Eder is working toward, so he tells his father what he wants. It cuts to the maid asking if he really wants to go to the warfront. He says yes. She's shocked and asks if he's out of his mind. He has no idea how terrifying that place is. It's filled with demons, monsters, and creatures. In the western part of the Empire of Velhaz, there's a place known as the continent's front line, a battlefield where an endless war against the demon army has been raging for 100 years. Because of that, his father, initially hesitant, gave him a condition. He would have to be qualified enough to go there. But Xian didn't know exactly what that meant. One thing is certain though, he has to become as strong and as fast as possible. Fortunately, he still retains all his battle knowledge from before his regression, and can even feel a bit of demonic power inside him. He just needs to train, and eventually he'll be able to use it. Suddenly, the door bursts open, and someone yells his name. With a hand on her hip, he recognizes her. It's big sister Alice. Whoa! Welcome back. She grabs him by the collar, and the maid asks where she's been, while Lucy is shouting at Cyan asking if he's lost his mind. She heard that he asked their father to send him to the front lines. Cyan is begging her to let go of him. She throws him to the ground and tells him he's getting too full of himself just because he defeated Krantes. She yells in his face, telling him to go up to the roof right now. Outside the castle, the two meet on a bridge. Ely says the match will begin the moment he touches his sword. After that, he just has to survive for 3 minutes, and she'll allow him to go to the front lines. Shan wonders if they really need to do this, but Elise ignores him and says she has a question. Is he planning to succeed the family? Shan is caught off guard, but he has no interest in that at all. Before he can answer, Belisi tells him to draw his sword. He thinks that he's barely regressed and is already being forced to fight twice. Without saying a word, he charges forward because he touched the sword, but he's startled, not knowing why. He manages to block her strike, and she's confused that he was able to block it at all. Shincharan is in disbelief that she's seriously going all out against a brother who's 7 years younger. Hale steps back gracefully, thinking it's impossible that he blocked her long sword with just that thin rapier. She bites her lip, thinking maybe it was just luck, and says aloud that he seems to be better than she thought. Shendrain realizes now he's in trouble, as she comes at him with a flurry of slashes that are hard for him to dodge. She leaps into the air to prepare a vertical strike. Shendrain manages to defend with his shoulder. Her blade slides down his and ends up near her neck. Elise flinches in shock, and Shendrain realizes he messed up. He twists his arm, and both of them pull back. He stops on top of a pillar and thinks that it would have been dangerous if he hadn't moved the sword. He could have killed her. All the assassination techniques he learned are designed for instant kills. He doesn't know how to fight without killing, but she still wants to continue for 3 minutes. It's going to be dangerous for her. Maybe he could channel some mana into his blade, but he's already running low on energy. Suddenly, Elisa begins chanting an incantation, calling for the wind to become her sword. Shen immediately recognizes it as a 6-star magic spell. Her blade begins to glow with the activation of water blade. The boy is crying now. She's really trying to kill me. This isn't a test at all. Meanwhile, Elise keeps repeating to herself that she cannot lose no matter what. On the edge of the wall, Shen realizes the problem. If he reflects her attack, he might end up either killing her or knocking her off. If that's the case, he jumps toward her as she raises her sword, releasing a beam of light. Shen pleads internally, begging something inside him to stop hesitating and come out already. As Elise prepares to deliver the slash, just before impact, a knight steps between them and yells, "That's enough." He blocks Elise's attack with his sword and grabs Shen by the collar. The impact echoes through the entire castle. The knight glares at Elise, saying she's gone too far against a young boy. Cyan feels relieved. He had been waiting for this guy to show up, but he took too long. When Elise sees the knight's sword, she seems to snap out of it. She immediately runs to Cyan, hugs him and apologizes, saying she lost control. She cries on his shoulder, saying the last thing she wanted was for him to go to the front lines. She's too worried about him. As she embraces him, Siming thinks that she truly is an Onim, a person who studied at one of the academies of Grau and was one of the most qualified swordswomen. On top of that, she had a beautiful face and was recognized as the daughter of God. Everyone believed she would one day stand beside the protector of the continent and the Vert family. However, not long after joining the Knights of Light, she met a tragic end. Shen hugs her back, saying he missed her, and this time he's going to protect her. Elise then asks the knight why he's here. Is he the Duke's bodyguard? The knight replies that he's here under the Duke's orders to protect the young master. Shen thinks back and realizes he had felt this man's presence ever since leaving the Duke's office. That's why he was so mad that the guy took so long to appear. He almost passed out. What he still doesn't understand is why his father sent someone to protect him in secret. Shen then collapses on Elisa's shoulder. She smiles softly, thinking, he really is still a child. The next day she returned to the academy, and Shoan resumed his training to prepare for his next meeting with his father. All he could do was push his body to the limit to build up stamina, but the poor guy is exhausted. 10 push-ups is the most he can handle. Remembering his peak Kegan, he realizes he'll need to take drastic measures. Suddenly, Emily walks into the room and says that Alaiti sent him something, but then she says it smells awful. What is that? After Alaiti attacked him, she sent Hellhound blood as an apology gift. Because of its terrible smell and disgusting appearance, everyone assumes it's poison, but in reality, it has the power to permanently boost stamina in anyone who drinks it. Holding her nose, Emily asks if he's really going to drink that. Shen says yes, and jokes that he's the only one who can even eat her cooking. So this should be fine. He remembers the purple mushroom soup she made before, and this smells way better than that disaster. He slams the cup down on the table and says it was delicious. She's standing there, so fine, he'll pretend it was. Now radiating a strange aura, Cyan calls out to Emily, who asks what's going on. He looks back with glowing red eyes and says he's going for a walk. He wants to see how the medicine is working. He begins walking outside the castle and stops near a large stone, saying he's been wanting to come here for a long time. This was the place he used to visit when he wanted to be alone. But one day, a revelation from the God of Light was given to his brother Ekal about an ancient temple hidden in this place. Saman had always been skeptical about that story. As he touches the ground, he mutters that no one knows about this revelation yet. Suddenly, the ground cracks open and a red mist begins to rise. He says that what he's about to do is something Ekul could never have imagined. Looking at the underground passage, Xuan wonders if it's finally time. As he walks inside, he notes how different it looks from before. This was once a place that served the god of light, until it was destroyed. That happened during the Holy War 300 years ago. Suming says that it's hard to believe a place like this even exists. On top of the altar he sees a glowing sword and immediately recognizes it as the sacred weapon of that temple. Back in the year 999, the humans finally managed to drive the demons out of the Velha's empire. That's when they discovered divine artifacts, known as the Treasures of God. One of those artifacts was the holy sword Drandark, the blade that led humanity into war against the demons. It was the same sword that Ekul used to kill him during his tragic end. Staring at the sword, Sumjranga wonders if it's somehow connected to his regression. He touches it hesitantly, but then lowers his head, saying he knew nothing would happen. Frustrated, he kicks the sword and walks away, saying that it made him feel worthless. But then, shadows start appearing beneath the light. Suming says he's finally found what he was looking for. Looking at the ground, he notes that anyone would think it's just the sword's shadow, but it isn't just a shadow. He touches the floor and says, "Where there is light, there is shadow." Suddenly, stairs appear, leading down to a door swallowed in darkness. Xian opens the door, hesitating, and when he looks at the altar inside, he finally finds what he came for, the demonic blade. Ear on. He grips the dagger. There's a carved crystal embedded in the dagger. Xian speaks to the blade, telling it that it can wake up now. He continues swinging it in all directions, a bit hesitant seeing that apparently it really is still asleep, but he's clearly falling for it. Swinging a blade he used his whole life really does feel kind of nice. Suddenly, a shadow begins to rise from the ground, saying that he is a very brave child. The shadow asks Cyan if he knows the meaning of taking that dagger. He replies that it means it's his now. The shadow grows larger, and says she can't believe he actually awakened a demonic blade. With a creepy tone, she says it's too late. She flies toward him, saying that now his body belongs to her. However, Xian grabs her by the neck, leaving her confused. A face appears within the shadows, and Xian says that back then, he didn't have much choice. The blade asks how he's able to touch her, and he answers that he already told her, she's his now. The painted pink-clawed blade slashes at him, but he dodges and steps back. She takes the opportunity to gain some distance, and wow, that's the strongest weapon I've ever seen a protagonist wield. She then asks who he is. Seeing the shadow emerging from his body, she wants to know if he's the heir, or at least, why he possesses the heir's energy. He says yes, he is the heir. Now that he's the master, she'd better behave and bow her head. Kiran is seething with rage, saying he's just a brat. She charges at him, saying she won't accept this. While defending himself, Xian knows that the blade's true purpose is to steal the body of its wielder, so there's no way around it. She's just about to strike, when he wonders if he should hold back. With a sly smile, he activates the control of the demonic blade. Kiran is slammed to the ground, unable to comprehend what just happened. He warns her that he'll say this only once, she should accept it while he's still being nice. Completely suppressed, Kiran wants to know how he's using this ability. Sumian simply activates the blade's control again, and slams her to the ground. Before she can say anything he activates it 3 more times. Seeing her buried into the floor, he asks if she understands now. She replies that she truly does recognize him as her master. He's about to use the power one last time, when she calls him my lord. With that, Shenj completes his goal there. He wonders if he should return before someone notices he's gone. In his hands, Kiran says she's looking forward to feeling the fresh air outside. She's super excited, even tossing out a little heart emoji. She's all curious, asking for his name. When he tells her, the blade asks if he really was chosen as the heir. Xian says yes, but that it happened in his past life. Now she's confused by this whole past life business. He explains that he's already died once. She looks even more puzzled. This guy is seriously unhinged. When he approaches the sword, she tells him that it's asleep, and Shin responds that its owner will show up in 20 years. Kiran wants to know how he's even doing this, but he's already unsheathing the sword. Without hesitation, he cuts the hilt. Kiran asks what he's doing. With a somewhat possessed look, Suan says he has no idea, but it's going to be an interesting future. The next morning, a carriage departs from Houseverse Castle. The promised day had arrived far too quickly. Shemdrayan presents himself before his father, who asks once again, is he truly determined to go to the front lines? Simshan responds that yes, his heart is already there. The Duke gives a nod and tells the knight to release the beast. The knight takes out a scroll, and Cyan wonders if he's about to use summoning magic. The scroll glows with a red pentagram. A creature with flames on its back begins to emerge, until a hellhound stands face to face with Cyan. Seeing the creature, Cyan is sure that his father and the knights have prepared this test well. Everyone's hands are on their hilts, ready to draw. Cyan realizes they're being cautious with his life. His father reminds him that everything comes with responsibility. He must prove his will by passing this test. Hearing the word test, the knight becomes hesitant. He was confused when Cyan asked to train with him. Our protagonist had said he had 3 days before the test and needed to prepare as best he could, so he asked the knight for help practicing combat techniques. The knight told him that if he wanted training, he should ask Kancher, someone his own age. Cyan played dumb, saying he didn't know why, but Kancher blanks every time he sees him. The knight realized he was in a tough spot. Lucien smiled when the knight agreed to grant his request, but said he wouldn't draw his sword. All he would do is defend. Cyan thanked him and asked for just one more thing. Not to tell his father anything that happened during their training. That was an order. Yukin hesitated, not understanding why Cyan made that request. Then suddenly, Cyan charged at him. Yukin was barely able to block the first. He attacked, but was left in disbelief at the strength of a mere 10-year-old boy. He realized that Cyan's movements were so fast, he had completely disappeared from sight. Cyan was already above him before he even noticed. While wondering where the kid had gone, he felt something and turned to block the attack. Kanan continued to strike without pause, but after several blows, he gave up, saying that unfortunately, he still couldn't beat him. However, he told Yukin that he did a great job, and thanked him for his help. Almost exhausted, Yukin replied that Shuyan had done an excellent job, still unable to believe that such a skinny boy could be so powerful. If what he felt that day was true, the current young master would be able to pass any test thrown his way. The hellhound stood face to face with Cyan and charged. Cyan remained calm as he saw the beast come in for a bite. Something flashed past the hellhound's eye, and it collapsed on the ground far away. Looking back, Cyan said that with his current strength, he needed to finish this quickly. The hellhound got up and decided he had to end this in one strike. He prepared for the attack, and suddenly, the slash had already landed on the hellhound's head. He leapt and drove the sword right into its cerebellum. The knights present were all stunned, while his father gave a small smile. Looking at the carcass on the ground, Lucien said it was a shame, so much blood had gone to waste. But he knew, if he started drinking it, people would think he was crazy, so he let it go. Wawiz then approached and congratulated Cyan, saying it was incredible. Given how things turned out, he said they would surely meet again on the front lines. Cyan thanked his father. Meanwhile, Kiran called out to him, asking if she was just some kitchen knife.
Our boy replied no, she's a demonic blade. Then she asked why she wasn't being used.
She could only regain her powers by consuming blood. As they walked toward the hellhound, she begged for just a little taste. Sanman told her not to worry, he would use her as much as she wanted. In the northern battlefield, ogres invaded, the alarm was sounded, and Walla ordered that none be left alive. The soldiers raised their swords and activated the Prison of Salvation. A massive shining cross appeared on the battlefield, and a magical circle formed under the feet of all the ogres. From the circles, cords of light emerged and bound them. With them immobilized, the soldiers seemed able to easily defeat them. One of the ogres screamed as a soldier approached. The soldier gripped his blade tightly, prepared to strike, and with a single blow, decapitated the monster. Nearby, Shemta and Emily watched the battle. Emily was terrified. She asked why he had brought her to a place like that. Strangely, Shem felt nostalgic being there. When asked him what he thought about being on the front lines, and Shem said he was a little nervous. His father warned him that death could come at any moment in that place, so he'd better not let his guard down. Shen smiled and said he would keep that in mind. On the front lines, death was a constant, with 3 or 4 battles happening each day. Strategically, the knights did their best to halt the demon army's advance. Cyan's tent was the farthest and safest one. The problem was that, since he was now being watched, he couldn't find a chance to feed Karen. While wondering if he'd have to wait until nightfall, he asked Emily what she was doing under the blanket. She was panicking, saying the Duke had warned that they could die at any moment. Shun replied, "Then pack your things and leave." But she screamed, saying it was impossible. He couldn't be left alone. There were demon monsters everywhere. If she fled, who would take care of him? Suddenly, she left the tent, saying she was going to get something to eat. Seking tried to ask her about the cloak he had requested, but she ignored him. He was annoyed, because that damned girl never obeyed him. Later, he placed a dummy in his bed, thinking maybe it would be enough. When Emily asked if he was really going to stay in a place like that, She told him he was very diligent. If the Duke found out, he'd be proud. Shiming ignored her and said he was leaving. She could sleep there peacefully. He looked back and warned her to say he was sleeping if anyone asked. She agreed. At that moment, they needed every soldier possible on the front lines, so it was only now that Xian could move freely. He activated an ability that allowed him to glide through the mist and headed toward a dangerous region, where he found a pack of hellhounds. But he was excited. This was the perfect place to test Kirin. As soon as she was summoned, she smelled the blood and told Cyan that she couldn't take it anymore. She needed to cut something. The hellhounds lunged at him, and Xian told her to feed as much as she wanted. He began slaying the hounds, activating a skill called Furious Mist Storm. After finishing off a hellhound, he pulled blood from its head and took a huge gulp, wearing a crazed expression. He said, "That's what I'm talking about." Karen, thrilled and even tossing out little heart symbols, responded with excitement.